to Todd in North Carolina. Todd, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Owen. I wanted to ask you if you know about the event that RFK Jr., Vivek Ramaswamy, Cynthia Loomis, and Tulsi Gabbard all spoke at this weekend.
I don't believe so, no.
It was the Bitcoin Conference 2023 in Miami.
Okay, yeah, I saw that Bitcoin conference. I didn't know they spoke at it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. RFK Jr. brought up what made him a Bitcoiner, and that was the trucker convoy in Canada and how their funds were cut off. And he proposed that if their money had been in Bitcoin, then Canada, Trudeau, couldn't have touched them. So it's this idea that Bitcoin, which I didn't quite get until I started listening to a podcast called Simply Bitcoin, but their motto for Bitcoin is a separation of state and money. And I'd love to hear you guys interview the hosts Nico and Opti. They're both from the Southern Hemisphere. Nico, he's from Venezuela, and Opti, he's from Mexico. And they really see Bitcoin as an opportunity to uplift the global South, Africa, all the unbanked nations of the world, countries like Lebanon, that.
Yeah, sure. So let me just stop you right there. Here's the challenge. Here's the challenge about Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency is that you have to find a way so that the transaction economy can run off of it. So in other words, in order for the Bitcoin dream to really work, this is my opinion. I'm not the biggest crypto guy. This is just how I view it. So crypto people listening to this may be like, getting nauseous over my coverage here. But the whole goal needs to be, can I go out to lunch and purchase my meal in Bitcoin? Can I pay my electric bill in Bitcoin? Can I make real world transactions in Bitcoin? Because to me, the whole cryptocurrency thing is basically like a glorified crypto stock market at this point, and not a true transactional currency. Now, in El Salvador, they're trying to embrace that, and maybe that could come in the future. That's the hurdle we have to leap. Now, there's a story in the news today. Lawmakers clash over regulation of stablecoins. In other words, the government knows what cryptocurrency represents as a threat to their power. And of course, the central bankers understand that if there's an alternative currency that they can't control, then it's game over. The entire global enslavement central banking system is dead. So they are truly scrambling to find a way to put this to rest. So imagine it like this. The government, the greedy criminal government, always has to get their hands on every transaction. They got to get their cut. So it could be anything. We could decide as a people that monopoly money is now going to be our real currency. And we could just decide we're not using any fiat central bank currencies anymore. We're just going to use monopoly money. Or we're just going to use bottle caps. Or we're just going to use trading cards. And then if all the people in the world decided, okay, from now on, we're doing transactions in monopoly money, in bottle caps, in whatever. Well, you see, the government can't stand that. They've got to get their cut, and they've got to have control over the cash flow and the banking system, because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's their true source of power. Food supply, money supply. So if they lose control over the money supply, it's game over for them. So they're trying to find all kinds of ways without being egregiously aggressive and over the top with this, so that the people don't understand their true control here and their true lust for power here. But you watch. As soon as there starts to be a truly viable transactional community with cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or anything else, The U.S. government will step in to stop that in any way they possibly can. And they're already trying it with this unrealized gains tax. And they want to claim that, oh, if you have Bitcoin and it's worth X, Y, or Z, then you're paying taxes. Total criminal activity, total authoritarian centralization of power activity. And so that's why they are panicked. That's why they are panicked. So again, I'm not a big crypto guy. I'm not a big Bitcoin guy. I understand the goal, I think. But how do you get people universally to flip that switch and say, we're taking Bitcoin now? And everything changes. The whole game changes. How are they going to tax it? How are they going to tax those transactions? How are they going to tax you getting paid in Bitcoin? They can't. They can't. That frees humanity from the central banks. So that's why they're totally panicked over that in D.C. That's why the central bankers are panicked over that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it really starts to get close to a situation where you might actually have a transactional economy with Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. They'll just make it illegal. They'll just outright make it illegal, and they'll claim it's a money laundering scheme or a Ponzi scheme or something like that, and they'll just try to shut it down. And, if you're an accelerationist, you might be okay with that. Just, show us who you really are. Show us how the central banks really have to control us. Show us how we don't get a choice over what we can use for currency. If I decide I want to use seashells for currency, I should be allowed to do that. If a restaurant decides they're going to take trading cards for currency, then they should be allowed to do that. But see, then the U.S. government loses that ability to take their cut of every transaction and tax you on every transaction, and then they lose their power. They can't launch every war they want. They can't launch all the initiatives they want. And then ultimately it's their death. So they will fight like hell to make sure that cryptocurrencies or any other alternative currency that the central banks don't control will be snuffed out. And depending on how real this gets, they're either going to try to just outlaw it or, maybe major crypto people just start winding up at the bottom of rivers. So let's hope it doesn't go there. But the central banks will do anything to protect their power. All right, let's go to